Welcome back to Steve Raw Reviews. Well, today's review is going to be quite the mission. It's all about my late model Chevy truck. When I went for the first time to change my oil, I couldn't jack the truck up. I've been jacking trucks up for like over 40 years. This first time I ever ran across this, could not jack the truck up. So I decided, okay, I'll go buy some of the ramps. You've seen in my videos, I showed the ramps like you could drive up on so I could change my oil. In the meantime, I had to try and resolve why I can't jack this truck up. Because, well, a little bit of a backstory here. Let's go out and let's take a look at my Ford. I've got a Ford too. It's the wife's Ford. Let's go take a look at that. Okay, so here's the wife's truck. Let's take a look underneath. And let's take a look at the frame and how easy access it is and how easy it is to actually jack this vehicle up from right about here. Okay, so there's the frame on the F-150, and as you can see there, I have no problem putting a jack underneath there. Okay, so that's the Ford, and that's the Ford frame. And I have no problem jacking that thing up. That's 2010. Since then, as you've noticed, there's horsepower wars, there's how much weight you can carry in the back of the truck, and how much you can tow with it, and they've been ratcheting up these half-ton trucks to the point where they built them like a 1-ton now. And I have no interest in pulling 12,000 pounds off that truck or putting in over a ton in the bed of that truck. So I mean, since I first started buying trucks, my first truck was in 1969. It was a half-ton truck. Like this is supposed to be a half-ton truck. Well, guess what? The most you can carry was 1,000 pounds back then. If you're lucky, you could pull 4,000 pounds off the back of the bumper. But now it's completely different. So Chevy has decided to stuff this massive frame underneath there, and I can't jack the thing up. Now, if you're a Chevy truck owner, late model truck, and you've run across this before, because I know you have, and you tried to jack that truck up, in the front. I'm not talking about the back. I have no problem jacking up in the back off of the rear axle. No problem. This is only in the front. So if you want to jack it up to do service on your brakes or rotate your tires or anything else, you ain't jacking that thing up with a regular jack. So let's take a look what a regular jack looks like. Okay, so here are my two jacks. This one here I always use for the rear axle. This one here I would use for the front. And they all come with these plates. And I tell you what, I could not jack that truck up off of this thing. Every time I went to jack it up, it would start slipping off the plate. And I mean, because the frame is so big on this thing that when you jack it up, it's not like it's gripping anywhere. And as you jack it up, of course the frame's going to start to tilt. Then the jack goes to slip off. So then I went on to this one. Now this one here I'm going to show you, and it's got a flat pad with rubber on it. And I had made that years and years ago. I slipped that underneath the front of the Ford there, and it holds up nice, jacks it up. I've never had a problem. I tried it on the Chevy. No chance. That thing was going to slip off like you wouldn't believe. And if you've got a Chevy truck, you know what I'm talking about. Because, yeah, it's a huge problem. So let's go underneath the Chevy truck and see what the frame looks like on that. Okay, so we're underneath the truck there. This is the best I could show you. You see that welded on clip on the left-hand side there? That's where they want you to put the jack in, and that's the one that comes with the vehicle. And it's one of them screw jacks with a long, multi-pipe deal that you turn to jack up the vehicle. And well, that's not going to work for me. But if you just take a look at this frame here, it's just like crazy. It's a huge wide frame, and you could see where you have to jack it up on that frame. And I tell you what, you're not going to do it. So I'm going to show you exactly the resolve I got was because you stick it on there and you start jacking it up and it'll slip off every time. So I'll show you exactly the resolve I put in. I'll jack it up and I'll show you what it looks like after. And this is what I did. Well, that's the resolve right there. I'm going to give you a good look at that. Now, I built that plate like it's got to be 20 years ago. And it's just a square plate. And you can see I put a pad on there. And it's been well used. So what I did was I got a couple of carriage bolts, a piece of angle iron you could see right there, and just bolted it on. And I'll tell you how it goes on the truck. Well, you can see right there, inboard frame. So I'll bring it over here and we'll just put it on. So it goes in like this. I'll show you when it's installed, but you can see how wide that frame is, right? And this here is smaller than the frame. On the Ford, this can fit like this, right straight across. On the Chev, it's a bit wider than the whole, I don't know what you call this, lifting point. But this one here just barely fixed the whole frame. I can't believe how big this frame is. Like easily bigger than my 2500 HD back then. And so let's just stuff this underneath there. And what I do is I put it underneath here, and then I lift it up and I pull it back to tighten it up. So the frame is going to sit here. Now remember, that frame is all flat, and there's no spots in there like to grab onto. So you'll take a look when I show you. So let's go out to the truck, and I'll jack it up, and I'll try to show you the best I can underneath. Okay, so there it is right there. You could see where it's grabbed the inboard side of the frame, and you know, it's on there pretty good. The wheel's off. I can jack it up some more here, and you know, it's on there pretty steady now compared to before. It would just, as you're jacking it up, you could see it slipping over, right? So that's my resolve right there. Well, just for reference point there, I just had to get the tape measure out and show you. That is 6 inches. And when you looked underneath that that Chevy frame, it was about this far over. Like this here was not big enough. I could have gone almost another inch more. So that Chevy frame, you go underneath your truck and you measure your truck and see if you've got like almost a 7-inch frame in the front. Like, I mean, it's pretty hard to jack something up, you know, when you got nowhere to get a good grip on the inboard or the outboard side so it doesn't slip off. Well, I think this is the resolve right here. Well, I hope this is informative, and for all you Chevy truck owners or GMC truck owners, yeah, hopefully this will give you a little bit of guidance on maybe what you could do, even if you wanted to make like weld yourself up a cage on both sides and have the center, you know, piece come up, you know, and grip in there if you wanted to. But this here seems to work fine for me, because when you have running boards like that, I couldn't even slide underneath there to change oil. So yeah, when I change oil, I use the ramps. I'll put a link down below for me using the ramps, how easy they are to work with. And you know, when it comes to the first time you go to do something, and I looked underneath there and I thought, oh, this ain't gonna work out well, you know, because yeah, first time I did, I took the time and I could see, well, who needs to stuff a frame that big in there, right? And I mean, there's nowhere to grip onto. So yeah, this was a little bit of a quandary there, but that's the resolve that I did for me. Works fantastic. I've rotated my tires since then, and it works no problem. So make sure you put a safety jack underneath there, of course, like you're supposed to. I always do. And come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things like you've seen today that you just might not see somewhere else. Cheers.